technology. So we will be starting exactly at past, and we will be going live at that time. So in a few minutes' time, the presiding officers and the minister will be joining us, and then we will start exactly at past, and then we go live simultaneously in the studio. Thank you very much.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. Perfect.
This book, our Constitution, protects us. The drum calls the people of Parliament, through whom we govern together. And the sun is our country, healing our past, improving our lives, and energizing.
Got you, ma'am. Roger that. Roger that. Are you happy?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Yeah. But this is a live, so it's not so bad.
Okay.
Doc, your designation here? Your designation here?
In terms of what I do,
Coverage. Excellent.
I'm managing the office of the Deputy Chairperson, NCP. You don't have to
Okay.
include it, yeah.
I don't want to touch it now.
So we're ready.
2.5.
As I've
This book, our Constitution, protects our society and empowers us to govern. The Protea leaves are us, the people, who freely elect our voices in Parliament. The drum calls the people of Parliament, through whom we govern together. And the sun is our country, healing our past, improving our lives, and energizing our potential. Together, our Constitution, our people, our Parliament, and our country are building our great South African nation. Parliament TV, channel 408 on DSTV.
Thank you very much. Welcome once again. The presiding officers of Parliament have invited you here for the important event to witness the launch of the state-of-the-art parliamentary television studio, as well as the final control center that was burnt by the fire in 2022. So this is particularly when it comes to the final control center, because it came after the unfortunate fire. It is a part of the restoration process and rebuilding process of Parliament. We are pleased on behalf of the presiding officers for your presence here. I wish to recognize the presence of the host of the event who have invited you, the Speaker of the National Assembly, Mayor Nosiviwe Mabisa Ngakula, the Chairperson of the National Council of Provinces, Ndate Amos Masondo, the Minister, as well as the dignitaries that are invited, the Minister of Communication and Digital Technologies, Mr. Moentlu Gungubele, the Deputy Speaker, who are also the host of the National Assembly, Ndadele Chisatsinodi, the Deputy Chairperson of the NCOP, Ms. Sylvia Lucas. I also want to recognize the presence of the Deputy Minister of Sports, Ms. Nokawe Mafu. Also the House Chairpersons from both houses present. I see House Chairperson Frolic. I see House Chairperson Nyambi. I see House Chairperson Ngwenya. I also recognize the presence of House Chairperson Mewroto. I also wish to recognize the presence as well of the chief whips of political parties, as well as party reps in this event. I see the presence, also I see Chief Whip Naren Singh. You are duly recognized. I saw Chief Whip Kwangwa from the UDM. And also others that I might have missed, I will continue to recognize and to acknowledge as the event is continuing. I also recognize the presence of the Secretary to Parliament, together with the management team, that they call it George, and of course the CEO. As you know that this is a collaborative event. We've been working with the colleagues at MultiChoice to put it together. So they are led to this event by the CEO, Mr. Calvo Mawela. So without any waste of time, I'm going to hand over to the studio where we have got our own Parliament presenter, Dr. Sibulelo Mvulane, and then we've got also Dudu Ramela, an accomplished broadcaster, as you will know her from Newsroom Africa. So I'm going to hand over to them, and at some point they are going to have an interview with both the Secretary to Parliament and the CEO. Thank you very much. You can take over, colleagues in the studio.
Mr. Muthapo, sir, thank you very much for that. You speak of the restoration efforts or the restoration process, and we can definitely attest to that. Like you said, these are state-of-the-art studios. A very warm welcome to our guests at Queen's Hall and you watching from home. We're going to be giving you an inside look into the state-of-the-art studios. You do stay with us for the rest of the program here as we do the handover of studio and FCC, coming to you live from Cape Town. My name is Duduzile Ramela. I'm not alone in studio. With me is my co-host, Dr. Sibulelo Mvulane, here to guide you through today's event, celebrating the handover of Parliament TV studio, generously donated by MultiChoice. And as you've heard, this was initiated in 2021. Parliament TV has created a platform that has been crucial for broadcasting parliamentary debates, policy discussions, and enhancing public engagements for South Africans, something that we no doubt know that you like to tune into. And of course, Dr. Mvulane, as we mark this moment, it is quite significant because before anything becomes law in South Africa, you need only think of the Bella Bill, you need only think of the National Health Insurance Bill. It would be refined in some of the halls that are here before it is adopted as law. Perhaps let's start with a reflection on why this is such an important moment.
Absolutely. We're thinking about Parliament as a transformative institution, as an institution that is actually there to ensure that it facilitates transformation and to bring about, real change and in the material and the lived conditions of ordinary South Africans. And of course, Parliament has been playing that role for the last 30 years now. As you know, this year marks exactly 30 years since 1994, that historic watershed moment when we transitioned from apartheid to this new democratic dispensation. And of course, this platform is quite critical because it facilitates discussion. It enables ordinary South Africans to engage with members of Parliament, to know what's happening in committees. There's various conversations happening simultaneously on any given day when Parliament is in session. It's committee sessions. It is obviously your debates as well. Right. There's so much happening, but all of this is to ensure that this Parliament plays the crucial role of transforming the lives of ordinary South Africans. And of course, with South Africa marking 30 years in the life of its constitutional democracy, it is most fitting for us to frame our conversations here today, and in particular, the symbolism of today's handover in the context of South Africa's evolving democracy. Since 2021, the Parliamentary Studio has played a key role in assisting Parliament to fulfill its constitutional mandate, thereby strengthening our democracy. Some of the important functions it has played in the last 3 years include that of deepening oversight and accountability, monitoring and tracking progress made in the implementation of commitments of the 2019 to 2024 medium-term strategic framework, and of course its accompanying 7 priorities for report-back purposes to ordinary South Africans. Significantly, the Parliament TV platform has also served as a medium to ask pointed questions in line with the electoral mandate. We have also unpacked complex matters while engaging members of Parliament, academics and thought leaders towards the success of South Africa's evolving democracy. To begin, we unveil the transformative role of the Parliament TV studio in enhancing our engagement with governance. Now, let's explore the impact of Parliament TV.
The impact of Parliament TV and the studio in Parliament has enabled South Africans to get a better insight into the workings of Parliament?
Our work is increasingly now being understood because people are able to see what we are doing.
We have been able to use Parliament TV through the studio to make sure that we educate, that we inform, and that we also get the participation of people.
South Africans will be able to access this 24-hour channel of Parliament.
What we are doing in Parliament is not our personal affairs. It is the people's business, the people's affairs.
It is the theater where democracy is played out.
It has now become common purpose that people discuss and participate and give their views based on interviews that are taking place and access that we have through this very important medium.
This is democracy. This is what we meant by a democratic process.
To be able to showcase what we are all about in Parliament, ensuring us to make sure that one of our objectives, and that is the issue of public participation, is being achieved.
So the role of parliamentary TV has been tremendous in the sense that we are able to capture live what South Africans are saying about the laws that are being proposed, and they are also able to be consulted to make inputs during the lawmaking process.
And it serves also the purpose of providing background to what's happening in Parliament that we often provide by the explanations we give.
That's the hallmark of democracy. Anything that impacts on me, I must be aware of, I must be asked my own views, I must input my views. We are quite excited with our relationship with MultiChoice, a giant of telecoms and broadcasting.
It is important on Parliament TV to start including the work that is done by the committees of Parliament during oversight visits, as well as conducting public hearings.
So if we can also use Parliament TV to begin to educate in terms of civil education so that we can have a better product in terms of the response that are coming to us.
In a fast-changing world, Parliament would now have a benefit of a world-class studio that we will be able at any given time to have sessions in a house. If there's a State of the Nation address, directly Parliament doesn't have to make makeshifts. To have facilities that are of world-class standards, similar to many others. And we're quite grateful to MultiChoice that they've made it possible for us.
We need to make sure that we take the public with us in terms of giving them a broader understanding. We've got this platform, and it is a very, very effective and useful platform.
Well, the fact that our resources, in a sense, were complemented by work with this private company is an important one.
They've proved to be a reliable partner that we can call on at any stage.
So it will be a proud moment and a momentous occasion for us when we open this studio on the 7th of February 2024.
So the relationship, I believe, will grow even stronger as we further deepen our democracy, because ultimately it is a democracy that belongs to our people, and MultiChoice must be complimented for this excellent initiative.
Welcome back. It is clear that the studio is more than just a technological marvel. Parliament TV has bridged the gap between Parliament and the South African people, transcending technology to connect directly with the populace. Furthermore, the President of the Republic, His Excellency Dr. Cyril Ramaphosa, will be delivering his final State of the Nation address of the 6th dispensation tomorrow on the 8th of February from the Cape Town City Hall. Parliament TV will be broadcasting live from the Cape Town City Hall.
Indeed, Sibulelo, and it was quite befitting that we're actually marking this moment today with the handover of studio and FCC. Okay, it is that time where we get some more insights into exactly how we got into this moment, or to this moment rather. We are joined in studio by Mr. Xolile George. He is the Secretary to Parliament, and Mr. Calvo Mawela. He is the Chief Executive Officer of MultiChoice. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. Mr. Mawela, sir, perhaps we can start with you and and we can reflect on how this all came about and how it is important, or why it's important, for fostering transparency and engagement.
Yeah, thanks. We actually started having discussions with Parliament over many years. Many of you will not know, but Parliament TV, for it to be seen everywhere across the country, it was because of our initiative, putting money behind where our mouth is, saying we think as a democratic state we need to make sure that more and more people are able to see what is happening in Parliament, because Parliament is the foundation of our democracy. That's where our fate gets decided. That's where debates happen on where the country should go. That's where new laws get promulgated. And we felt as a media company, it's our responsibility to make sure that people are able to see their elected representatives as they embark on a journey of making sure that democracy is fulfilled and their ambitions are fulfilled. That's where we started. Over the many years, Parliament TV has grown in leaps and bounds, but we felt that we needed to improve it even further through the discussions that we've been having with Parliament. And the initiative started from both sides to say, we think we can do with a state-of-the-art studio where we can make sure that despite committees having debates and National Assembly having debates, there can be a forum where people can come in, have discussions on what's happening within Parliament, and share a little bit more behind the scene operations of how Parliament happens. We, as a humble company, proudly South African and proudly African, we felt it is our responsibility also to contribute towards this initiative. Media is our daily bread, so we know how to build studios, we know how to do productions, and that's why then we put a lot of money behind this state-of-the-art studio. I mean, looking at it now, I can see it. I'm sure at Newsroom Africa you must be also thinking, okay, yeah, they're at par with you, if not better. Absolutely. But that's what we did. We tried to make sure that we bring the best studio to date that can really show that we are really serious about making sure that we elevate the kind of equipment that we are bringing into Parliament, and that's where we are today.
A practical example of public-private partnerships, Dr.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. Perhaps let's bring the Secretary to Parliament in. Secretary, we know that this year marks 30 years since the inception of our democracy in 1994, and that obviously speaks in volumes in terms of the changes that Parliament has gone through and the changes we've gone through as a country. Talk to us about how important the Parliament TV platform is in terms of as an e-democracy mechanism to strengthen our constitutional democracy.
Well, Sebo, it's a very important milestone that our country has reached. And almost on the 27th of April, by the time we reach that full 30-year milestone, at the center of the birth of our democracy, it is this Parliament of the People of South Africa, where new laws were passed to essentially enable our country to rid itself of the colonial and apartheid landscape that has shaped the trajectory of our country for more than 400 years. And at the dawn of democracy in 1994, a daunting task to clear that path was then laid down in our constitution, and it's through the public representatives that were freely elected that new laws were then enacted in Parliament. As we speak, part of the lawmaking mandate of Parliament, this is a proud institution that has passed no less than 1,787 laws since that period, from the first Parliament, getting rid of old legislation, setting a foundation for a human-centered democracy, where the rights and the values that underpin our democracy were laid down through the laws, the instruments that today have further been enhanced to ensure that oversight as a second mandate of Parliament is performed and the values of transparency and accountability are achieved through open communication. And a platform like this, having a world-class studio, would go a long way to ensure that some of the public participation engagements that ensure that when we do lawmaking, at the core of it, public participation is very important. You would know that many of the cases where laws have been consulted right across the board, a lot of issues, because democracy inherently and interest of many stakeholders to participate, consult. Some of the bills, once they are enacted, they are subject to challenge. And once they are challenged, Parliament learns from those outcomes. Indeed. And we have learned through public participation that some of the laws that we have passed did not essentially pass the fullness of the test of meaningful consultation. So two contending issues, meaningful and adequate. And we have learned from that jurisprudence to make sure that public participation must be seen to be achieved both in letter and in spirit. So part of having an instrument like this is not only to say we have gone through all provinces, is to make sure that all the levels of society must be able to be engaged. And we have seen IEC releasing results of the registration over the last weekend. 1.2 million people registered. Of those, 79% is young people. So town hall consultations that traditionally we've been doing, you are able to say, did you consult adequately in a province? And what's the province of Limpopo? 6.8 million people. What is our record as Parliament to have consulted people? Maybe 80,000 people. Does that pass the test of adequate and meaningful? So through the wide reach of a studio, you will be able to make sure that we diversify our engagement instruments. Absolutely. Using multimedia in a generation that requires that in any bill we must be able to say, not only through town hall meetings, we have other instruments to make sure that we can galvanize society, gather enough inputs, and through studio like that, we can then enhance public participation to make sure that the reach and penetration covers as wide as possible, so that Parliament can truly be the heartbeat of democracy. And we're quite excited as Parliament to have an equipment of this nature. At the same time, we intend advancing this once we rebuild Parliament to have a much more wider coverage and run it at 24 hours. So that people, Cebu, they don't only come in the evening and say, can I go to 4:08 in the evening? I think there were public hearings in Northwest. It must be done live at that time as a 24-hour channel of Parliament to make sure that any committee of Parliament, any plenary, any sittings, any public hearings, everybody can be able to say, I'm looking forward to that program that started at 6 o'clock in the Parliament studio. I look forward to it. And that's the kind of vision that presiding officers of Parliament would like to see this Parliament being taken up to that level.
Indeed, and that speaks of the transformative mandate of Parliament, really, this important role of ensuring that this platform becomes an instrument to bring about the kind of change that ordinary South Africans can feel on the ground.
More so, Mr. Mawela, when we hear that there's been over 1,000 laws that have since been enacted in democratic South Africa, you alluded to it a little bit earlier on, the long-standing relationship between MultiChoice and Parliament. Are you able to outline for us some of the fruit that this partnership has borne?
Yeah, I think there are many things that have come to the fore. I think society now understands the inner workings of Parliament without necessarily having to fly down to Cape Town, sit in meetings physically. That is the first thing that I see. I think the second element, Parliament as well was able to demonstrate that indeed when people speak of Parliament, they are speaking of an institution that is serious about doing something for the betterment of lives of people across the country. And that we see through the National Assembly when they debate critical issues that are affecting society. You see it in portfolio committees when they debate the direction of whichever department that is there. And Parliament as well has come to the fore in terms of holding the executive accountable, right, which is a serious element on which democracy thrives. So all those elements, as people begin to see them happening on their TV screen, begin to understand that indeed it is a serious institution that is there to take care of their needs on a day-to-day basis.
Including them from the comfort of their own homes, essentially. Yes.
Absolutely, and you touch on the importance of accountability and bringing you back into the conversation, Secretary. You also spoke about oversight and the importance of oversight, and we know in the last few years the issue of oversight has been highlighted as an area where Parliament actually needs to strengthen its capability and its mechanisms. Talk to us about how this platform can be used more effectively effectively in going forward to ensure that it advances and deepens oversight, accountability and tracking, so as to ensure that all of the undertakings that are being made on the parliamentary platform and of course around the country, as members and members of the executive move around and members of parliament also move around to do their oversight, then these undertakings are actually being reported on a regular basis.
One of the core focus areas of Parliament in terms of the 6th administration of Parliament is to make sure that it deepens accountability and also fosters good governance across the board. So using the instrument of oversight to ensure that there's deeper scrutiny on the exercise of executive power by the executive. It's the part of the work of the committees of Parliament to make sure that through various instruments that are defined in the joint rules of Parliament and rules of each house, each of the houses can perform oversight in a manner that enhances the quality of oversight to achieve transparency. So using the instruments like this in terms of participation, many South Africans would know that they always look forward to the functioning of the committees of Parliament. One of the most popular ones is the SCOPA, the Public Accounts Committees, when people appear there.
Absolutely.
Always covered fully, and everyone looks forward to that. Of course, those who are held accountable are not looking forward to that.
Right.
The Joint Standing Committee of Parliament also does that as an internal mechanism. So if we have capability like this, it would mean any committee out of the 45 committees of the National Assembly and the committees of the National Council of Provinces, we can be able to cover live all the proceedings.
Absolutely.
So that the educative dimension of public participation is also balanced with the exercise of the executive scrutiny on the matter. You've got institutions of higher learning, you've got young people whom we want to also understand the workings of democracy and how it impacts on their lives on a day-to-day. How do we make meaning to a young person to look forward to listen to the Higher Education Committee of Parliament or a Basic Education Committee? What are the specific issues that through this participation we would make sure that we make the complicated simple?
Absolutely.
So that it is not some big English spoken somewhere there.
Indeed.
Make it easier and relatable. And part of our communication to make sure that we can reach out to different levels in terms of communication. We should be able to send simple messaging through this platform. So that even if we open a particular program at a particular time, simple messaging on the screen. I always say to the team in Parliament, all of us, we grew up, enjoying chappies.
Did you know?
Yeah,
Did you know?
Yeah, even if you sit somewhere in a bathroom, you open your chappies. And that is always educative. That was before the life of Twitter.
True.
So it was did you know this and this? Now imagine if you open this studio. Did you know that the Committee of Education has passed this bill? This bill would now go to the House. It covers 1, 2, 3. That's it. Nobody wants to know a huge, complicated issue. Tomorrow is about housing delivery. The other time is about water. The other time is about this simple messaging that enhances the balance between the educational dimension of public participation, but also the informative reciprocal outcome that out of that investment that parliaments do. Because Parliament's primary duty is to make sure that it balances all of these issues in such a way that it enhances the quality of governance in society, at the same time enhance the quality of our democracy through participatory instruments. So it's quite an exciting issue for me in the sense that we can deepen the awareness so that the relation of people with Parliament using these instruments would go a long way to make sure that the quality of the laws that Parliament does, the quality of oversight, it will then improve the reputation of Parliament as an apex of governance in our country, but at the same time ensure that a child, an elderly, everybody can relate that what comes out of Parliament is not only the dramatic moments that people see, but there's actual work that arises out of the work. And it's all about enhancing the quality of lives of South Africans.
Absolutely.
Gentlemen, it has been such an incisive conversation. I think the key takeaway, collaboration, because we do believe that South Africa's competitive advantage is being able to collaborate, and it's beautiful to see the private sector working together with government to be able to show you, South Africans, that it is possible for you to own your democracy, more so in the year of 2024. And that's Mr. Xolile George, Secretary to Parliament, and Mr. Calvo Mawela is the CEO of MultiChoice. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
And with that, we wrap up our conversation with the Secretary to Parliament, Mr. Xolile George, and Mr. Calvo Mawela, CEO of MultiChoice Group. Now, back to the official event at Queen's Hall. Please welcome our Program Director, Mr. Moloto Mutapo.
Quite an insightful interview indeed, and thank you very much. Thank you very much to the STP, thank you very much to the CEO, and thank you guys in the studio, Dudu and Sebulelo, for such a wonderful interview. The STP and CEO indeed are two gentlemen who, when the presiding officer said, we are traveling, all over the world, we visit parliaments of the world, and wherever we go, we get invited into the studios, the state-of-the-art studios of those parliaments for interviews and to share our views on a wide range of things. And they said, why is it that the Parliament of South Africa does not have a similar studio so that it can facilitate public participation, public involvement, ensure that the people of South Africa have access, as it is an obligation of Parliament in the Constitution, to follow the proceedings of the House, of the committees, of oversight visits, of public hearings, and so on and so forth. And these two gentlemen put their heads together to ensure that this studio comes into reality. Can we clap hands for them, please? Mabroto, you will be glad to know that now I'm wired, because you know these things of technology quite well. So they had your advice and they wired me because they realized that I've got a tendency of going before, I'm allowed to. So I'm now wired, I can hear what is happening in the studio. Thank you very much. The next speaker is the Minister of Communications and Digital Technologies, Mr. Mondli Gungubele. It was appropriate for the presiding officers to invite him because, as you will have heard in the interview, Parliament television channel has been evolving. It has been doing great work in terms of bridging the gap between the people and their representatives in Parliament. From what it used to be 10 years ago, it has evolved. And now I'm sure those who are watching will have seen that it has got very educational documentaries, programming. It is from time to time able to conduct and run live shows like the ones that we are running now. So we just want to prove to you that this is stuff that we do all the time. So as we are evolving, we are moving towards having a legislative intervention so that we can be, ICASA can be able to license us, and so that we are able to operate properly under the regulation. So it is that context that you are here, and we are thankful for your presence here. Madiba, you can come up the podium. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Program Director Muloto, the host, speaker, who gave me no choice, and as a result I'm here. the entire National Assembly, Bab Masondo, the leadership of Parliament in general, House chairpersons, Deputy Minister, Mafu. I'm grateful for the opportunity to be part of this event which acknowledges the affirmation of the centrality of communication in advancing human imperatives. I'm advised that MultiChoice is not starting now. They first enabled the parliamentary television on the DSTV platform. Now they give a studio to enhance the usability of that channel for the bigger purpose of talking to South Africans. Communication, Honorable Speaker, is the most undermined discipline, yet the central discipline for human pursuit. My attitude that makes me think this way is that I used to ask myself, what is the primary purpose of education? Is it to get me a job, make me an economist? Over time, with a little exposure to psychology, my psychology is very little, it was introduction. I came to one conclusion that the primary purpose of education is to harmonize relationship between human beings and their environment. Imagine if human beings were not aware and understanding the nature of the environment within which they find themselves. Imagine if you didn't know that a fly can't kill you, but you see it running, coming to you. There are two possibilities. You would either run away from it or crush it. But if you know it's not going to do anything, you just allow it to pass. That's the power of communication. Communication is very key in ensuring that human beings are able to plan their lives as individuals, as business, and communications ensure transparency, and communications ensures that there's predictability in the environment within which you live. And in the absence of communication, there's a lot of questions that are not answered. When many questions are not answered, there's apprehension. When they continue not to be answered, you fight or flight. What am I trying to say, Honorable Speaker, is that in the absence of communication, the casualty is clarity. In the absence of clarity, there's apprehension, there's instability, there's violence. Countries that are highly educated and advancing education, one of the concomitant advantage is peace and stability, because there's clarity. If you go to countries like Cuba, every clause and every decision taken get to be known in a short space of time by every Cuban. Doesn't matter where you go in Cuba, you meet anyone. I remember we were addressed in Lenin Park about the Cuba and so on by Franco, and we went to some party, and they said, ask any Cuban about the things we're telling you about. Indeed we did. We found that exactly the same way the minister was actually communicating to us, an ordinary Cuban is able to do that. What are the advantages? Cuba is one of the poorest countries, but the level of clarity has kept Cuba together, has made Cubans to be content with Cuba because they are not ignorant about Cuba and what is surrounding Cuba. So clarity is important. So we are making a parliament to be communicable to our people so that this center of democracy is able to interact with them and they give feedback. A communicating parliament is a developmental parliament, makes a developmental democracy. This institution is an institution which is the capital of legality, which is a guardian of legalities in the country. And those legalities and their value are supposed to be promoted here on a daily basis. Our children must know the dangers of being illegal. They must be able to be made to associate the legality with their ambitions to prosper. And that takes a lot of education. And then I'm very much excited towards end to say the fact that you are also now using platforms like YouTube and all others, WhatsApp and so on, is quite exciting because connectivity is what is at the center of the future of any nation now, especially effective and real connectivity. By real connectivity, we mean when people have got access to online information, they must make effective use of it. When services are online and people have got access, the cost of living is reduced, there's simplification of administration, there's transparency, there's accountability, there's also quick turnarounds, there's a reduction in cost of life. In America just recently, about 2017, they would have assessed what difference would it make connecting America. They realized that billions, millions to billions of hours are saved. Billions of money are saved. Things are done in quicker and more quality manner. One of the big challenges on communication and the technology is that business are concerned about to be competitive, where should they invest and how they should invest. The center of that success is communication. So I want to say to the Speaker and the entire team, thank you for joining the mission of making sure that together with you, we promote a communicating South Africa. My last example I'm going to use. We launched a project in Kokstad just towards the end of last year in Mount Elif. They call it network mesh. If you go to those 1,600 houses, everyone is connected there at an affordable price. We went to a very poor family and asked the children in that family, what difference does it make? They say, Tata, at night we used to get transport to go to library. It's so many kilometers away. At times we get there, we don't get every book we want. We come back exposed, and said lastly, they say, now that there is this communication, this connectivity, we are able to get all those books through a gadget. So I want to say to MultiChoice, you are a business in South Africa. More than a business in South Africa, you are a South African business, because there's a difference between the two. There are businesses in South Africa, there are South African businesses. And South African business concerns itself with the future of this country. We want to congratulate you for that great work, that partnership.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister, for the words of encouragement and support and providing context in terms of the importance of parliamentary broadcasting, of course linking it to the Constitution. I did say that I will continue to recognize guests as the proceedings are continuing. I wish to also recognize the presence of Umama Dlulani, the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Sports, to also recognize the presence of the representatives, leadership of NIHAU, and of course the representatives of various civil society organizations and NGOs who are interested in the workings of Parliament and in the fulfillment of Parliament's obligation of public involvement and access. I'm going to now take this opportunity to invite to the podium the Speaker of the National Assembly, Umama Nosivuyo Mabisa Magula. She and the chairperson, they are very passionate about Parliament TV. They always tell me whenever I give them the schedule of interviews for whatever project in Parliament, they will say, is Parliament TV here also? And they always encourage members of Parliament to be a participant in the studio. Thank you very much.
Am I that bad? Mom rocked. Thank you very much, Muloto, Program Director. Chairperson of the NCOP, Honorable Amos Masondo, Deputy Chairperson of the NCOP, Honorable Sylvia Lucas, Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly, Honorable Lichisa Tsinodi, House Chairpersons, and I want to name you, Frolic, Moroto. I don't see the NCOP, Mangwenya and Nyambe. I don't see Nyambe. Thank you very much. Honorable members, I see leaders of parties in our midst. Honorable Singh, I recognize you. Our distinguished guests and representatives of the media present. Thank you. Thank you for honoring our invite and for gracing this important occasion with your presence. Last week we had the unprecedented opportunity to convene all three arms of the state, being the legislative sector, the judiciary, and the executive. You know why I'm distracted? I'm distracted because I looked at you, Mondli, and I don't recall acknowledging you here. Honestly, and the Deputy Minister, Minister of Technologies and Digital Communications and Digital Technologies, Honorable Mondli Kungubele, thank you for honoring us with your presence, and Deputy Minister Notsawe Mafu. Now, I was still saying we had this legislative sector summit, which was attended by the legislative arm, the judiciary, and the executive, for a collaborative engagement on how to strengthen parliamentary oversight as a function to improve the ability of the state to serve the citizens better. Although the Legislative Sector Oversight Summit was essentially about how to improve practices and systems to enhance the ability of provincial and national legislators to hold you, Mondli and Notsawe, the executive, accountable, it also became very clear for those of us who were in attendance that the function of oversight was about how we use all the voice and mandate that the electorate has given to us to serve their own aspirations better. This duty to serve the aspirations of the citizens is also a two-way street where we must constantly provide account to the public about the work that we do and at the same time receive feedback on the same. This accountability and feedback is at the heart of what members of parliament owe to their voters once elected. It is for this reason that it was always important that we establish a vibrant system of communications in parliament, including the foresight to invest in parliament's own media broadcasting capabilities to support its requirement to account and interact with its citizens on its work. For several years now, Parliament has partnered with the MultiChoice Group, mainly through Parliament TV, which enhanced the parliamentary broadcasting capabilities. This partnership serves as a corporate social investment project by MultiChoice, underscoring their commitment to supporting parliamentary transparency and public engagement. The channel operates 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and ensures continuous coverage of important parliamentary proceedings. Parliament TV primarily focuses on broadcasting House sittings for 8 hours a day. Yes, it's true. It doesn't matter what time you wake up and you tune on to 408. You will find something happening. Something is being reported. And I must say, it is very impressive. However, in recent years, there have been notable development and expansions in the broadcasting services provided by Parliament. The channel currently broadcasts a wide range of proceedings, including live committee meetings, House sittings, public hearings in different provinces, and special projects. These broadcasts are instrumental in fulfilling the constitutional mandate of conducting Parliament's business in an open and accessible manner, thereby ensuring that citizens can witness and engage with the democratic processes. In 2021, MultiChoice further demonstrated its dedication to the parliamentary broadcasting services by adding a fully fledged state-of-the-art studio with a fully equipped control room known as the Final Control Center. This addition significantly improved the production quality and technical capabilities of Parliament TV. The studio is now used for live shows on special projects, including prominent events such as the State of the Nation address, as we shall be doing tomorrow, the budget speech, sectoral parliaments like women, men and youth parliaments, and a pre-recorded weekly bulletin that highlights the upcoming events of Parliament. As events would have it, the initial FCC donated by MultiChoice was destroyed. That is the Final Control Center. It's a football club, no. Was destroyed by the fire that razed the new wing and the old assembly building in 2022. The fire destroyed broadcasting infrastructure that cost hundreds of thousands of rands and caused a huge disruption to the normal proceedings of Parliament. However, through the kind generosity of MultiChoice, through you, CEO, you have once more come through to us to replace our FCC. And it is now part of the new studio we are unveiling today. We really appreciate that. We are grateful to the MultiChoice Group for your unwavering support to the Parliament Broadcasting Services and for ensuring that Parliament can fulfill its mandate of facilitating public access to its work. I want to welcome the former Speaker and Deputy President of the Republic of South Africa, Madam Mbete. Thank you for being here with us this afternoon. Program Director, we believe that investment in new technologies for our broadcasting services also contributes to the creation of a dynamic future for Parliament's communications capabilities, leveraging the benefit of new tools to enhance and expand our interaction with our constituents. With the rapid advancement of communication tools, including the fourth industrial revolution and social media strategies, we have an opportunity to embrace new technologies to better connect with the public and enhance democratic participation. The fourth industrial revolution has brought about unprecedented changes in the way we communicate and interact with one another. This technological revolution has provided us with powerful tools that can be harnessed to improve transparency, promote dialogue, and foster greater engagements between elected representatives and the public. By leveraging these advancements, Parliament Broadcasting and Communication Service can reach a wider audience and facilitate meaningful conversations on important legislative issues. Furthermore, the rise of social media has transformed the way information is disseminated and consumed. Parliament Broadcasting and Communication Services must recognize the potential of social media to amplify the voices of the public and promote inclusive participation in the democratic process. By utilizing social media strategies effectively, parliaments can create more accessible channels for citizens to express their views, share feedback, and stay informed about parliamentary proceedings. However, as we embrace these new technological advancements, we must also remain vigilant in protecting the integrity of parliamentary communication. Ensuring the reliability and accuracy of information is paramount in building and maintaining public trust. As such, we must implement robust mechanisms to verify the authenticity of information shared through these channels and promote responsible use of social media platforms. Program Director, as this democratic parliament, we've set ourselves a distinct role of operating in the interests of the people we serve and ensuring that our work is open to the public. Broadcasting parliamentary proceedings public, therefore, plays an important role in advancing one of Parliament's key mandates, which is facilitating public access to processes by reducing the gap of bringing public representatives closer to the citizens, to civil society, to the media. This is why we felt it important, therefore, as part of the program of events leading to this year's SONA, to officially launch the new studio. We also celebrate a public-private partnership that stands as a shining example of what can be achieved when the state and private sector come together in collaborative effort to serve society better. With the launch of this studio, Parliament has also created an additional avenue for the media, especially regional and community media, to gain access to content about the work of Parliament. This will ensure that more people are informed about our work and thereby can actively participate in the processes of the institution. We welcome this new development, especially as it coincides with our celebration of 30 years of our democracy and the democratic Parliament. As we draw close to the conclusion of the 6th term of the democratic Parliament, we present this studio as a gift of progress and an important springboard for the enhancement of the work of Parliament in the 7th term and beyond. We dedicate this new studio as symbol of the resilience of our democracy and that of Parliament as an institution. The rebuilding of this studio represents the first tangible delivery in the restoration efforts of the infrastructure that we lost in the fire disaster in 2022. It is therefore a symbol of the phoenix, the ability of our people to rise again and again, to defeat adversity. This is a gift and homage to them. Now, I'm sure you all know now, Tate Masonda, I'm sure, joined the NCOP in 2019, I'm assuming, and I joined the NA in 2021 September as a presiding officer. But otherwise, I'm like part of the furniture. I'm 30 years in Parliament. As we finished 10 years of 30 years of our democracy, you should know that we are one of those who were lined up on that day and who took the oath to serve the people of South Africa. Now, I think it's important for me to acknowledge your presence, former Speaker, Honorable Mbete, and I'm sorry that Madam Modise is not here, because you are the two people who conceptualized this idea, this notion of having a parliamentary studio. We appreciate your wisdom, your foresight, as if you knew that there would come a time in South Africa when politics would be more robust than you can imagine. So our people watch every day. It doesn't matter if you wake up at 12 or 1, at least when you tune in 4:08, you know there is something that's being reported which would have taken place in Parliament on that day. But also, as we heighten our public participation processes, it's good, it's such a warm feeling to meet a person in the deep rurals of Emambondweni in Port St. John's, and the person telling you that we know that Parliament will be coming to our area because there's going to be a public participation process. It's such a warm feeling because it is what the people of South Africa were yearning for. It is what we all fought for. Just to know that the public out there is informed about every decision, every step that we take, Honorable Singh. I must say this, that when I attended the funeral of Baba Shenge, it was so warm to be received by some of the people I thought I would never be able to relate to when I was in that area. The Amabutos of KwaZulu-Natal. And really embracing me, acknowledging that I am the Speaker, and I am the Speaker of the Republic of South Africa. I am the Speaker of the National Assembly of the Republic of South Africa. And it has to do with everything with the ability of Parliament to communicate with its people about work of its representatives in this House of Assembly. So I'm really proud of what we've achieved. I'm really proud, Bali, of what you and the former Speaker Thandi, who would have been here because she had confirmed earlier on, but I know that they have a cabinet now. We are proud of what you have achieved. Lastly, all these things we've done in the past 30 years, we were not doing it for ourselves. We were not doing this for our personal glory. We did all this work. We passed all these pieces of legislation. We ensured there's public participation. We ensured that there's effective oversight. We passed laws which repealed laws which oppressed the majority of the people of South Africa. We did that for the future of our young ones. The future of our young ones. And I think we've done just that. So the next 30 years, young people, it is now for you to take the baton and not walk with it, but run with the baton. Grab it from us, run with it, and continue to enhance and continue the work that we have done, pass even more progressive pieces of legislation than if you think that we need to improve something from what we have done, do just that without any fears. I stepped down by saying I had the opportunity to interact with students at Rhodes on Saturday when I was doing the voter registration process in our mobilization in my constituency office in Grahamstown. I'm worried. Youth of South Africa, I am worried. And I think many of us are worried, and many of us are concerned. Just about some of you, their inability to appreciate the fact that we actually fought for the right to vote. And therefore you have an obligation to register to vote, if only to defend the gains which this revolution had made. Just vote in order to defend what you already have. Just vote in order for you to defend the right to education, the right to have NSFAS with all its challenges, paying for your fees, the right to free health, just the basics. I really pray that as we go to an election, that young people will be in the majority in terms of those who will exercise their right to vote. Young people, you're not voting for us, old dogs. You're not voting for us. You are voting for the future of the young people of South Africa. The right to defend what you already have. The right to defend the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa. The right to defend the anthem and the flag of the Republic of South Africa. Because where we come from, we came from a situation where we could not even exercise that right. Just that. Who you vote, you decide. Your vote is your secret. But just the right to vote. People have died fighting for a right to exercise freedom by voting for who they want. And I just thought that I can't lose this opportunity. I can't miss this opportunity to send this message out. By the way, it was voter registration weekend, but remember, you can continue, encourage your children, encourage your relatives to continue to register online because it is your right to do so. Thank you very much, colleagues.
A round of applause. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Indeed, this is a gift that symbolizes the resilience of Parliament and the people of South Africa to rise, to rise, to rise, and to rise. Thank you very much. A round of applause to the Speaker of the National Assembly. And thank you very much indeed to the former Speaker of the National Assembly, Mama Balegampete. Really appreciate your presence. It is recorded in the annals of history how much you fought for this studio to be here today. And we have said indeed that we must have some time with you in the studio just so that we can reflect on your legacy. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me pleasure to invite the CEO of MultiChoice to come forward to hand over this wonderful gift, the studio, as well as the final control center. Mr. Calvo Mawela, the CEO of MultiChoice. I know when I was calling you, you were busy whispering into the ears of the speaker. I'm repeating again. This is a wonderful gift. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Program Director, Speaker, who is our host today, Chairperson of the NCOP, Deputy Speaker, I see members of Parliament, I see ministers, deputy ministers. I will close by saying all protocol observed, because I'm sure I don't know everybody, so I don't want to make a mistake of leaving somebody out. But before I get into the speech of what, as MultiChoice, made us to get involved in this, I think I'm not so young anymore, I'm much older, I might be looking younger. We tend to underestimate the amount of work that Parliament is doing in terms of making sure that the foundation of our democracy remains intact, that discussions are as robust as they can be in terms of fulfilling the aspirations of a young kid like me that grew up in Bushbuck Ridge and ended up as a group CEO of a multinational. So some of the work that has been done here is felt down in the rural areas where people sometimes lose hope, but it's because of the work that we are doing that some people in those rural areas rise up and end up to be where some of us are today. And we remain very appreciative of the work that you guys are doing in terms of coming up with the laws that recognizes the most vulnerable in society to make sure that they can also have a shot at life and be able to make it one day. So we are very grateful for the great work that you are doing here in Parliament, but many times, many people tend to underestimate the hard work that you put in, the hours that you have put in. But those of us who interact with you know very well that there is a lot of work that is going on for a country to function and to hold the executive accountable. From us as MultiChoice, we are really see this as part of our responsibility as a proudly South African and a proudly African company, that we should make sure that democracy continues to thrive, that the people that are elected to represent us are able to share information to far-flung areas like Bushbuck Ridge, where I come from, as I've already said. And we feel that with us being in the media space, where every day we deal with media, we do broadcasts, this is our daily bread, we have the means to make these things happen. I'll fight with my CFO to make sure that we have some budget allocation to fulfill this responsibility, because we'll only thrive if the country thrives. If the country doesn't thrive, our business will also suffer. So it's also in our interest to have a stable country that is able to grow the economy and information is disseminated across the whole country so that people can know their rights, they know what's wrong, what's right, and be able to fulfill their aspirations and dreams. That's where we come from as MultiChoice in terms of this contribution. We have now built, out of having started parliamentary TV to now coming up with the state-of-the-art studio, and it's really state-of-the-art. You can go into any media house anywhere in the world, it's second to none. And some might even be behind us in terms of what they see there compared to what they have. So we are really very proud that we are bringing the best of the best, and we sincerely hope that we should see it coming in and making a contribution and making sure that the country is able to see the good work that everybody is doing here in Parliament in making sure that our democracy continues to thrive. And it will celebrate 30 years of democracy. Speaker, you are right. Voter apathy is big among young people, but they don't know what they don't know. And it's up to us now, with having built this infrastructure, to share where we come from and how we have come to be where we are today, so that they can realize that it's very important for us to vote, to continue to support democracy. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Group CEO. Maybe if you can join me down here. And at the same time, I'm inviting the Speaker of the National Assembly and the Chairperson of the National Council of Provinces for the official handover. The CEO will hand over a symbolic key to the new state-of-the-art studio. Indeed, that's why I keep on emphasizing state-of-the-art studio, and to the final control center. Round of applause, please. Don't be jealous. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And then don't rush, CEO. The presiding officers have got something special also to hand over to you on behalf of Parliament. And I'm going to ask the Speaker, as she is handing over, to read the message and to show everyone the gift. In the interest
presented by the presiding officers of Parliament to MultiChoice in commemoration of the 30th anniversary of the Democratic Parliament, in appreciation of their partnership with Parliament in support of democracy. So, 30 years of our freedom? Yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. At this moment, I'm going to invite the presiding officers, the deputy presiding officers, as well as the House chairpersons and the chief whips of political parties. We're just going to have a few minutes to walk to the studio where there will be an official unveiling or launch of the studio, the STP, yes, also, as well as the former speaker to join us in the studio for a moment. And everything, as we said, is an integrated production. It's here, it's happening in the studio, so don't be worried. You will see everything that is happening, and then we come back and close. So just bear with us for a few minutes. Thank you very much.
President Cyril Ramaphosa will deliver the last State of the Nation address of the 6th Parliament to a joint sitting of Parliament on Thursday, 8th February 2024. The State of the Nation address is an occasion for the President to set out the government's key policy objectives and deliverables for the year ahead. During SONA, the President also highlights achievements, flags challenges, and outlines interventions that the government will undertake to unlock development interventions for the coming financial year. Watch the address live across Parliament's platforms at 7 p.m. Follow Parliament on social media and join the conversation using #SONA2024. Parliament, following up on our commitments to the people, making your future work better. The President will deliver the State of the Nation address on Thursday, the 8th February 2024 at 7 p.m. at the Cape Town City Hall. Watch the State of the Nation address 2024 live across Parliament's platforms. Parliament, following up on our commitments to the people, making your future work better. President Cyril Ramaphosa has in terms of the Constitution, called for a joint sitting of the two houses of Parliament in liaison with the National Assembly Speaker, Ms. Nosiviwe Mapisa-Nqakula, and the National Council of Provinces Chairperson, Mr. Amos Masondo. The joint sitting is scheduled for Thursday, 8th of February 2024 at 7 p.m. and it will serve as the platform for the President to deliver his annual State of the Nation address. The State of the Nation address is an occasion for the President to set out the government's key policy objectives and deliverables for the year ahead. The State of the Nation address will take place at the Cape Town City Hall at 7 p.m. on the 8th of February 2024. Watch the State of the Nation address live across Parliament's platforms and follow Parliament on social media and join the conversation using hashtag SONA2024. Parliament, following up on our commitments to the people, making your future work better. President Cyril Ramaphosa will deliver the last State of the Nation address of the 6th Parliament to a joint sitting of Parliament on Thursday, 8th February 2024. The State of the Nation address is an occasion for the President to set out the government's key policy objectives and deliverables for the year ahead. During SONA, the President also highlights achievements, flags challenges, and outlines interventions that the government will undertake to unlock development interventions for the coming financial year. Watch the address live across Parliament's platforms at 7 p.m. Follow Parliament on social media and join the conversation using hashtag SONA2024. Parliament, following up on our commitments to the people, making your future work better. The President will deliver the State of the Nation address on Thursday, the 8th February 2024 at 7 p.m. at the Cape Town City Hall. Watch the State of the Nation Address 2024 live across Parliament's platforms. Parliament, following up on our commitments to the people, making your future work better. President Cyril Ramaphosa has, in terms of the Constitution, called for a joint sitting of the two houses of Parliament in liaison with the National Assembly Speaker, Ms. Nosiviwe Mapisa-Nqakula, and the National Council of Provinces Chairperson, Mr. Amos Masondo. The joint sitting is scheduled for Thursday, 8th of February 2024 at 7 p.m. and it will serve as the platform for the President to deliver his annual State of the Nation address. The State of the Nation address is an occasion for the President to set out the government's key policy objectives and deliverables for the year ahead. The State of the Nation address will take place at the Cape Town City Hall at 7 p.m. on the 8th of February 2024. Watch the State of the Nation address live across Parliament's platforms and follow Parliament on social media and join the conversation using hashtag SONA2024. Parliament, following up on our commitments to the people, making your future work better.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. You're watching the handover of Studio and FCC. In studio with us this afternoon, I'm Duduzile Ramela, and this is Dr. Sibulelo Mvulane. We are joined by the CEO of MultiChoice, Mr. Calvo Mawela. We're also joined by the chairperson of the National Council of Provinces, Mr. Amos Masondo. But we've also got a treat for you because we're joined by the former Speaker of the National Assembly, and that would be Umam Ubaleka Mbete. And of course, we have got Mr. Kolile George, the Secretary of Parliament, and the current Speaker of the National Assembly, that is Umamnosiviwe Mapisa Ngakula, who you would have heard speaking about you as South Africans through Parliament TV engaging with democratic processes. And it's the penultimate time of the program, I guess, this afternoon, because, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the handover of Parliament TV. Now, this button, ladies and gentlemen, before us is quite simple in form, but it holds quite a significant meaning, because when you press that button simultaneously, we'll ask you to do so in a few moments, it's going to spark the on-air sign, which symbolizes how far this relationship has come and the dawn of a new moment, I guess, as we enter more so 2024. And so as we proceed, we'd like to invite each and every single one of our participants to please stretch their hands to the button in preparation to spark the on-air button.
Do it.
Please go ahead and press the button. Press. Well, there you have it. There it is. Parliament TV's new chapter begins. This is the symbol of the future of our democracy, I beg your pardon. And of course, it symbolizes this important platform that has been created to ensure that ordinary South Africans are able to engage with their members. Here's to a future where Parliament and its people are closer than ever. And at this moment, we'd like to invite Mr. Amos Masondo, the chairperson of the National Council of Provinces, to give a closing address. Dr. Masondo, it's over to you.
Thank you very much. Speaker Nosiviwe Mapisa Ngakula, Minister Kungubele, Deputy Minister Notawe Mafu, Honorable Lucas, and Honorable Lechisat Sinodi, the presiding officers, all House chairpersons, honorable members and distinguished guests, leaders of political parties, former Speaker Mbete and Mudise in absence. Allow me to begin by saying that many would agree that these are indeed exciting times for us as the executive authority of Parliament to witness such an important milestone in the development and changes that are taking place in our country and indeed the legislative sector. We have recently hosted a successful legislative oversight summit, and we are now officially receiving a state-of-the-art television studio that will boost our efforts in making the lawmaking process and our oversight program more transparent and accessible to the people of South Africa. According to the 2021 annual survey conducted by research agency Ipsos Magno, television remains a primary source of news on Parliament for approximately 80 to 90% of the South African public. Similarly, over 60% of the population relies on radio for news on parliamentary activities. These statistics highlight the significant role that television and radio play in shaping public opinion and understanding of Parliament's work. As many of you may know, providing a broadcast service does not come cheap, and we're grateful to MultiChoice for assisting us with the infrastructure. what Parliament, especially the 7th Parliament and the ones to follow, will have to grapple with is the question of the financing of the operations of the Parliament Broadcasting Service. Parliaments across the globe have adopted, as has already been indicated, various models of funding for their broadcast services, and as Parliament, we are also looking into this as an issue. Having examined the intricate interplay between licensing requirements for the Independent Communication Authority of South Africa, ICASA, and the legislative framework necessary for Parliament's broadcasting services, it becomes imperative to deliberately push for legislative intervention. Parliament, as a constitutional institution, bears unique responsibilities and distinct public service obligations. The prevailing legal framework regulating broadcasting falls short in addressing the intricacies of Parliament's foray into broadcasting. As we are aware, Parliament has a responsibility to create a robust and enhanced mechanism to share information with the people, to ensure that the public is involved in its affairs. A key tool in achieving this goal is establishing effective communication channels, such as free-to-air parliamentary TV channel and radio. With this welcome boost from MultiChoice, we're a step closer to achieving what we're aiming for. This sponsorship from MultiChoice is necessary. It's a necessary boost that will push us to greater heights in delivering on our commitments to the people. We would like to thank MultiChoice Board of Executives for their continued support that has made this renewed partnership possible. To the Group CEO, Mr. Calvo Mawela, we appreciate your commitment and tenacity to help ensure that our democracy works through the continued contribution that your organization makes to Parliament through the Parliament TV channel. Also, I would like to thank our predecessors, the former Speaker Baleka Mbete and Thandi Modise, who had the vision to make sure that this idea of a studio came to fruition. Coincidentally, as you know, the Minister Modise is my predecessor as chairperson of the NCOP and also the predecessor of the current speaker, as she was the speaker before she moved to the Ministry of Defense. So to the ladies, the speakers as indicated, we thank you for your foresight. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for gracing this important occasion. Thank you very much for your presence.
A big thank you, Daduma Sondo. Accessibility for South Africans, essentially, this is what it is about. You have heard it all, that even those who are in the most rural and far-flung areas will be able to access democracy, and you will be able to get to see how the executive is held to account, as we've heard from the CEO of MultiChoice, Mr. Calvo Mawela. Thank you very much for joining us here for the handover ceremony of the studio and FCC.
Absolutely. I mean, obviously, this is so important. Some of the key messages that came through today is the importance of oversight, deepening oversight and accountability. And that is one of the key pillars of the work of Parliament in terms of its mandate. And of course, these platforms will play a major role in terms of ensuring that members of the public are held, they are informed on a consistent basis, and ensuring that report backs take place to ensure that all commitments that are being made on these platforms, on the parliamentary platform, that those are being implemented accordingly. With that said, we thank you very much for staying with us.
Thank you so much.
This book, our Constitution, protects our society and empowers us to govern. The protea leaves are us, the people, who freely elect our voices in Parliament. The drum calls the people of Parliament, through whom we govern together. And the sun is our country, healing our past, improving our lives, and energizing our potential. Together, our Constitution, our people, our Parliament, and our country are building our great sun.